What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. This is your two hosts, leskuzzy, and we got vinique. My name Nick, man. What you doing? How you doing?
I'm vibing. I'm vibing. How you?
I'm doing great now. Let's say we're gonna, let people know it was a great weekend, man. Great weekend in sports. There was DreamCon happening. There was, there was boxing happening. Battlerap whooping through an event. Gilly had a festival in Philly, right? There was a lot of things happening. So so this weekend was full of action for anyone who was looking for anywhere. So where we starting? You want to start with bags and bodies, or we just go to the fight?
Um. Well, this started as a battle rap podcast, so we can sum up battle rap first.
All right. So battle rap. What happened in battle rap? Booping through the mega event. I didn't watch nothing. I saw the clips. Looked great. John John got a certificate from Yonkers for being a battle rapper. Like certificate for recognition as a battle rapper and a league owner from Yonkers, New York. Smack presented it to him at the Booping event.
That's tough.
You
Oh,
hear like Mook was out there, Lord Relax was out there, most of the legends were out there. So that happened, but yeah, I didn't watch it. Now let's get into bags and bodies. I think we haven't talked about bags and bodies for a while.
we have it.
So we're gonna get into it.
How we talked about it, niggas was fighting.
Yeah, but that was season two. We ain't gonna talk about that. We gonna go back to season one. Uh, the released episode, the director's cut for episode 10. And I did say earlier when I recapped like some of the director's cut, I liked how they did it, and they look like they're moving in a pace. Like the director's cut, they put most of the stuff together. Like they don't show the full battles. And I think that's was the problem with the previous edit, that they were showing the full battles in one episode. This one has every little thing, and it looked like in episode 10. So anyone who wants to get Costa Rain, shout out to Costa Rain, because I'll go lie, Costa Rain, y'all so slick. Before we get there, remember when we first did like the episode, was it late last year, episode 1, and
Yeah.
we put the clips but they blocked our video.
Yeah.
Then like earlier this week they released they didn't block it no more. Like they let us put it up the video, but I was like, there's no point for me to put up the video with the clips because we already edited out the clips, right?
Put up a different video. So what was the point?
Yeah, I was like, we already put out the video without the clips because we edited out the clips, so there's no point of me just putting out the clips, like the clips in the video. So I took that, they made it public. I just took down the video because it had like 38 views. I was like, let me just take it down. So I took down the video. Before I get further, I think I don't know, because to all our fans, I know we haven't shouted you guys out for a while, so we want to say thank you we surpassed we are almost at 3,000, bro. We almost at 3,000. We are now on 2,580 subscribers. So we want to
Oh,
say
y'all came through. Oh.
yeah, we want to say thank you guys for the support. Uh, Even though YouTube doesn't recognize us, we don't get paid from these videos. We still give y'all content every single time
No, we're gonna get paid soon. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Trust me.
because they still
It's long
don't.
form content. So when it lifts and we can put ads, oh no, we're gonna make money. we're gonna
Yeah.
make money. But
Plus, also, and when we, I feel like when we start getting guests. That's early. I feel like next year. That's how our plan is. Next year we're gonna have strictly guests on the pod. And I'm thinking like next year. To be honest, I want to invest into it more than ever. But we will talk about it when we get there. You know. But
Next
yeah,
year could be a big year.
yeah. But now I want to say, with that being said, let's get in. So episode 10. This started with like the second round battles. Those like the rounds where Snake Eyes, after the Snake Eyes battle, right? Snake
Mm.
Eyes felt some type of way about he felt some type of way about the bad news outcome. He really said, spoiler alert, bad news, they get kicked out of the house, but there's some controversy on him getting kicked out of the house. I'm gonna cover it.
Okay.
Right, so he better Kelly Smooth. So when Kelly Smooth, this is where I feel like I don't know if I give points to Kelly or should I take away points. I don't really.
Yeah, he won the battle.
He won the battle, but we we all say this in Battlerap that if you recycle material, it's not really something we give credit to, right? Am I wrong? I don't know how we.
Uh, it's I have a different opinion just because of after all these years, it's kind of like, well,
Yeah, but
probably going to recycle something.
I'm not
Um,
saying like recycle the one bar, but he recycled most of his round.
oh, then nah, you can't do that. Yeah, you
Like
can't just
most,
take all the ground and then bring it back up versus this person again,
yeah, like
or half the ground. Like, nah,
he
that's fine.
recycled. He literally said he recycled all his. He looked back at all his material, recycled it, and just switched a little like a one angle. Like he's like he had a whole angle that he recycled. He had a whole round that he recycled. Just switched up the little things, took the little things, but it's literally just the same round, right?
Did they
Uh,
battle before this?
no, no. He just took like it made sense to him. Like
Oh,
it kind of the recycled material kind of like that he used. He made somebody else made sense
mm,
to bad news. So he just took it and used it, and then just took the little things. I wanted to give him credit, but I was like, yeah, I don't kind of give credit. If somebody wrote new material for you in 4 days and remember it, and you just, everyone in the house doing this, nobody really did this. You're the only one. I can't give
but he
credit.
still that material, even though it's old, he wrote it before he switched my up. He still had to remember that in 4 days, and he's chopping stuff up from other battles. He might have chopped stuff up from way different battles. Like,
But he said he looked it up in his phone. He had the rounds in his phone.
yeah, yeah, he's placing things in different places, and yeah, nah, like the flows that you got to get into. I don't know.
It's
It's
different.
not easy mode, but it's you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be recycling too much.
Yeah,
It's one thing if you recycled one bar. Like I don't have a problem with that.
yeah.
Everybody else gets it, but one
Yeah.
bar is not.
Because when I so that's what happened, right? Uh, Somehow I don't know what happened or how they didn't show exactly the scenario of that battle, like the controversy of that battle. But that guy, right? Guess that guy is roommates with Ben News in the house. And Ben News did say he had told like the higher ups, like the people who oversee the room, and saying that I know you gave us assigned rooms, because of people wanted to choose rooms, and you decided to give us assigned rooms. He's like, I told them I wanted to be in rooms the people I fuck with, but you didn't want to do that, and you assigned me rooms with him, right? So I guess while they were in the room, Ben News was practicing his round, you know, sparring his round, like saying his round out loud, you know, in the room with Jedi guy, right? Then I don't know what happened from that point. Jedi guy somehow ended up with Kelly Smooth, and Kelly was sparring with Jedi guy again. Jedi guy felt some type of way because I guess Kelly and Jedi guy battled before, and he kind of noticed that he recycled. Jedi guy was the first one to point it out, like, yo, like he didn't say it, but he told him, like, plus Jedi guy was drunk, so I guess Jedi guy say something about Muse's angle and bar that he was gonna use. In Muse had a crazy bar, and he told it to Kelly. Then in the battle, Kelly had a rebuttal about the bar that Muse used.
Okay.
So, from what happened, we all know how, you know, how him and judges better. He doesn't judge. He judges by who had the momentum. Like if they are both equal, who created the momentum and who caught up to the momentum. Did he suppress it or did he just stay with the moment? I like how him and judges the battles. He doesn't judge like round this one, he won this round, he won that round. He judges were on. He like if the rounds both of the materials are fine, they didn't forget them. He starts nitpicking, like he starts nitpicking of momentum and like you know that it's weird how he judges battles, but it kind of makes sense when the battle is close. So everyone he gave it to Kelly Smooth because he said Kelly Smooth was left Earth and Muse Death kind of messed him but didn't surpass him most of the time, right? He's like, so I gave it to Kelly because of his momentum and kind of Ben Muse didn't take the momentum really away from him. He just matched his energy and really didn't take it away like he did against Snake. So like it was like that way, and Muse didn't feel some type of way. I guess Muse didn't really kind of feel some type of way about it. He's like, oh yeah, good job. Snake Eyes was the only one who felt some type of way. He was like, oh yeah, he got kicked out the neck the following week, bro. He's kind of volunteered to battle on that week. He literally said, I will battle. They didn't want him to battle that week because he battled LA in the week on Sunday and he's battling on Friday. So he kind of said, I'll do it. So if I'm Muse, I should get credit for doing that, right?
Right.
So Jedi guy, while the judge was saying something, I guess he told KD. He's like, oh, I had something to do with the outcome of this battle. Right? So KD didn't say anything when like things were happening. Like, you know, the judges, he didn't say anything. But when he went outside, he kind of told him, he asked him straight up, he's like, what did you mean it has something to do with this battle? So he kind of told him, he's like, I heard Muse's bar. And I kind of, I was drunk, something, and I told it, I kind of mentioned it to Kelly. So Muse was like, you my roommate, right? He's like, you my roommate. I said it confident, I'll spot with you because we were in the same room. I expected you to, you know, not to say the bar to somebody else. Like, you know, not to say my wrongs to somebody else. You know.
Yeah, why did he do that?
Yeah, I expected you know, be roommates. Then that's where News looked at him and said, News more fact of like News was not mad. Well, he was pissed off, but it was more of like, this is why I didn't want to be roommates with people I didn't fuck with. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I specifically told you I'll be in. Y'all can put me in any room, but I want to be in rooms with people I fuck with. He's like, I fuck with KD. I fuck with Snake. He's like, me and Snake, as even though we fought, I still fuck with him, right? He's like, me and PG. Like me and your boy Peanut. So he was saying like, yo, I didn't fuck with him that much because I didn't know him. So y'all put me in this room, assigned me in the room with this dude, and I really didn't know him. And this man just cost me money because he sent my boss to somebody, my opponent.
Like,
Then
and that's something that could keep the momentum in his favor.
yeah, then he's like, then Kelly is trying to defend him recycling because the recycling got brought up, right? Most of the rappers is like, bro, that's also some fucked up shit that you do. Like you're recycling your material. We are all here. We have been in the culture. We know that that's not allowed, bro. He's like, he's like, we all know that you can't recycle your runs every time. That's unfair, right? You can't recycle every run because that means you're not being true to yourself. You're not trying to improve. You're just trying to be, it's like we are all here, even though we are all trying to get money, but we are also trying to improve our penmanship. We write new bars every single week, but you just taking recycling. That's kind of, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
And
you
he's
can't
like,
you can't really. Yeah, I get that. I
yeah.
get that.
So he's like, nah. If I have it and if it fits, I can recycle it. They're like, we don't. Nobody really wanted to hear it. They're like, okay, you know what? We'll give you a pass. Nobody kind of dove into it. They just left them, left it be.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, so he got a pass for that week. I guess there were enough people, so I guess he gets to the next round, right? Easily, right? Because Ben News battled twice, so in 1 week. So he gets a pass. He doesn't have to battle the following week. So they chose who's bettering each other for the next round, right?
Right.
They're choosing people. Most of the people, right, are scared of McMurray.
I'll be scared of Mac too.
So McMurray, like most of the people in the house, they're like McMurray.
This is our first season.
Yeah,
I would be scared of Mac too.
yeah. So McMurray, everyone's like, yeah, we don't want.
Higher last year.
Yeah,
I ain't dealing with Mac.
yeah.
Hey, if I'm a battle rapper, I'm leaving Mac alone, yo. Leaving him alone.
So right. So he's like, oh, he's telling McMurray, everyone in the house. The only person who's really didn't care about Mac, like Nas didn't show being scared about Mac, like getting Mac, was J2. So J2 was like, I'm not. He said, y'all might be scared of him. I'm not. Minute when you said that, his name was picked. He's the one better than McMurray for that week, right? People are getting their names. Then KD gets PG, J Guy. Most of the people in the house wanted J Guy because of the fucked up shit that he just did, right?
Right, because you got something that you could easily pick up.
Yeah. So KD gets J Guy, and they battled before, right? To get into the house, they battled each other. Most people feel like KD won the battle. J Guy got in because of what, him and Grace. Him and saved them and said, okay, both of you are in the house because of his material. So they're chilling the rest of the day. They're chilling, they're having fun, they're rapping against each, like the people who are not in the house are just rapping for fun. They're having chilling, right? KD is now in the mode of I'm about to start writing for this dude because I'm using every free time I have. I don't have to rap against nobody right now for this money on the floor because he's told us the people are rapping, you don't have to rap. Let me take this free time to start writing for this dude, right? I don't know why if Jay that guy is stupid, this is where I say he's really a fucked up person, right? He walks over to KD. I guess he sees KD like finishing his rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
KD kind of joked with him, but he really wasn't joking, right? He started like, "Oh, you going over the rounds, blah blah blah." They were like saying like a joke, right? You know how when somebody's talking in your back, but you're not really paying attention to what they're doing.
Yeah.
So KD really was laughing, but he was not paying attention to what's going on. Then he kind of, I guess when he was finished, then he kind of noticed it. It's like, wait. He kind of looked back. He's like, bro, why are you standing? Why are you here? Like, why are you standing over my shoulder or something? Like, why? Right? He's like, bro, back up. I'm going over my rounds. You back up. Right? Then that guy said, oh, he backed up a little bit, but still on his shoulder. And you know how most people feel like about like somebody not listening to you. It gets like, so that guy is not listening to reason. Right? Most of the people in the house, like, you know, the people who had like hot temper, like people who expected him to enforce that, really didn't want to get involved in it. Like because the cameras was looking at Bad News. Bad News was there, standing right there, like in the middle of them arguing. But he wasn't saying much about it. He was just looking, and like he's looking off like he wants to say to Jada guy, bro, you know what you did is fucked up. What you're doing is fucked up. But he doesn't want to step on anybody's toes, so he's just looking and minding his business. But he's he's moving closer, but he's not saying it. So Jedi guy is like, no. So he's the B-Mac. Then B-Mac jumps in, all right. B-Mac jumps in and is like, yo, Jay, bro, you gotta move, bro, you know, because they started arguing. B-Mac is trying to not like the fight not to happen, right? So B-Mac is like, bro, I know you drunk. I don't know if you're being funny or shit, but he's serious. You are over his shoulder. He's going to run for you, right? Like, I don't know if you're being funny or stuff, but he's not laughing. I know this man is serious. You kind of be trying to be funny and drunk. I know you're drunk. Jedi guy is not listening. What Jedi guy is not noticing is that Heyman is kind of pointing it, like looking at what's going on. Heyman is in the house, but Heyman is not like saying anything. He's looking like how is he, like, you know, he's looking on how is Jada guy gonna react, right?
Yeah.
He's like, is he gonna respect his opponent, or he's just gonna do some fucked up shit and not listen, right? So Heyman acts like he leaves. He goes around the house, comes back in. So people like, you know, he comes in and asks Jedi guys like, what the fuck happened? Right? I guess he act like he just got the news of like, oh, Jedi guy was looking over KD. He's like, tell me what happened. So he started explaining his side of the story. And, you know, we all know him and respects of like, you gotta respect your opponent. We have seen him and doesn't, like when his opponent is rapping, he doesn't talk over them. He respects his opponents like when they're rapping, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of goes. That's his morals. Like even when even Calico said it. He's like, yo, I've noticed that he told me one time. He's like, I was talking to him and said I never talked over people's rounds, and I was like, I thought he was lying, and that when I started looking at him as better, he doesn't talk over your wrongs. He might smile or whatever you say, right? If something that you say about him, he might give you like a little smile, like a smirk, like it's funny, but he doesn't talk over your wrong. he just let you rap, let you do whatever you want to do, right? He's like he's like one thing, he respects you like as his opponent. So He-Man is like asking him what happened. He's like, oh, so the other guy is telling me that he told me to back up, but I wanted to stay my ground. I didn't want to. And He-Man is like, but what were you on over his shoulder? You knew he was going over his rounds. He told you that I'm going over the round. Back up, right? He's like, yeah, but there's no rules, be in the house. He's trying to create this whole Jedi guy is trying to create. So when He-Man is listening to his story, He-Man gets mad off, like he gets pissed off. He-Man's like, bro, if a nigga tells you back up, I'm going over the runs for you, and you his opponent, you gotta respect the man, right?
Yeah, he's trying to hear it around so he can rebuttal and do all that.
So if
that's whatever. It's TV.
Yeah, he's like, you gotta respect the man. If you say I'm writing my rounds, I'm going over my rounds, and he tells you to back up, right? Like there's no shit, like there's nothing about it. And he's not hearing He-Man. He-Man is getting like to the point of like you can see He-Man wants to say, bro, you kicked out the house, right? You can see like in He-Man's face, he is on the point of like, bro, you not fucking, like He-Man says on the confessionals, he's like, bro, he's now fucking over me. He's like, he's not a real man for that. Like, he's lying to me because I saw everything. He's like, I watched the whole thing play out. Mm-hmm. And his man is trying to lie to me to what happened. He's like, so I was like in the confession, he's like, I was at the point of like, bro, you out the house. He's like, this is not the first, this is the second time. Right? So that boom boom. Then Ben News kind of tried to, because Ben News noticed that He-Man was getting pissed off, like explaining the situation to Jedi Guy, because Jedi Guy is not registering the thing that He-Man is telling. So Ben News jumps in, he's like, yo, he's like, bro, we were here, we were sitting there. He told you back up, I'm writing my rounds and going over them. You his opponent, you gotta respect them. He's like, I understand you trying to say there's a rule. He's like, there's no rules in the house. But we all know. Like I said, we all respect each other here. He's like, we gotta have like a sense of respect. Respect your opponent. He's like, we ain't gonna do this. He's like, how would you feel if I'm you? He's like, right? And if I'm me and you are battling, there's no cameras, and I come over and see your rounds. Like, while you going over your rounds outside, and I come and look over your rounds, you feel some type of way, right? He's like, yeah, like he's agreeing. He's like, so that's the thing what we're trying to tell you, that, bro, that's fucked up, that's what you did. And KD was ready to throw blows, with Jedi Guy, and I feel like that's kind of triggered KD on. I think KD was like, okay, this nigga really got me fucked up. I'm about to kill him. Like, he literally, you can see in the convention, he's like, yo, he got saved the last battle when I had to battle him to get in their house, right? Mm-hmm. Now I'm about to beat him bad so that there's no if and buts about it, right? That's what happened. But the whole episode was more of like battling, the picking up. Snake has finally battled Yellow Boy Peanut for the second time, because they said they battled for an hour after the first episode, the Lake Tower thing, when you took Snake as back. They battled for an hour, but no off camera. So they finally, the He-Man is like, oh, since the others are preparing for it, but let y'all without you guys being like, oh, just doing challenges, I'm gonna put 1,000 on the floor and y'all battle each other. So your boy Peanut and Snake were preparing for their battle for 1,000, right? And other people were battling. Yeah, but if I can give this episode, I'll give it like a solid 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Uh, it's not the best episode so far out of that's not the best, but it is a lot of concepts. It gives us more. It gives us insight to who can potentially win, who are people stay left in the house, who has a chance to win, right? So yeah, that's it. Now, so everybody, since we talked the first 30 minutes, we talked about battle rap, bags and bodies recap. Now let's talk about the boxing, man. We here. So
I actually got to see the highlights. Not actually watch the fight, but I seen the highlights. I don't know if y'all were just wrong. I don't know if
okay,
I don't know, but y'all should have never put Bull against. No, Crawford was clearly better than him.
so this is where I want to get this because I think I did it. So for anyone who don't know, y'all can also follow me. For now, from now on, I think this is what I'm about to do for like big fights. I'm not doing this for the Crawford, for the Jake Paul and Diaz. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry, but I'm not into like Jake Paul's fighting. To me, that's not pure boxing,
It's
right?
not. It's some bullshit.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that for that, but for other big fights, like the next fight I think I'm gonna live stream is the Jamel Charlo and Canelo Alvarez fight. I'm gonna live stream on Caffeine. You can come and join me on Caffeine because I feel like when I did that this week, it was fun. We had people. I had people in there. We were having fun. We were talking boxing. Uh, we were talking shit about some boxers, even though we know in real life they'll whoop our ass, but we were talking shit about some boxers in there.
That's a vibe.
Uh, so now we're gonna start me before we ain't gonna start from the you know from I'm not gonna start with the main event because I feel like that's not really where I want to start with. Right, I want to start with the core main event. So in the core main event we had Ice Ice Ice. I don't know why they call Isaac Cruz, but his name is Isaac. But they call him in the Spanish way Isaac Cruz. Isaac People Cruz versus Cabrera, right? Cabrera was undefeated. Isaac Cruz he has like 2 losses. One of them is to Tank Davis, and earlier this is where when I said in the live stream we were talking shit about other fighters. It was mainly People Cruz, and this is where I'm going about it, right? Because earlier I got mad because the whole week, every time he did an interview, he said he was gonna beat this guy, knock him out to send a statement that he deserves the rematch with Tank Davis. Right? I understand. You're still mad that he lost to Tank. You're the one person that he didn't knock out. Right?
Should probably be happy about that, low key.
Not really, because he beat you while he broke his hand. He he broke his hand and still beat you in 12 rounds. He broke his hand in the 6th round. In the next 6 round, you didn't win no rounds when he beat you with a broken hand. So you gotta be happy about that. That man just broke his hand and still beat you, right? So he's the whole week he's like, oh, I want to show that I deserve the rematch with with Tank Davis, right? I feel some type of way. I'm like, bro, you can't be just calling out Tank every single time.
But if he's the only person he ain't knock out, and
No,
he only won by decision, then
yes, but if you
he
want,
can get the ball.
this is where I was saying. I was saying you can't just call Tank, right? My issue was not him calling out Tank. his whole mission since he lost to Tank was the rematch.
Yeah.
I'm like, we understand you didn't lose to Tank like how Rolly and Ryan Garcia lost, right? But you now trying is like because somebody said in it that he got too famous. He got famous when he battled for Tank. That's how he got famous. Because nobody knew who he was before he battled he fought Tank. And Tank made him a name, right? So we were talking. His promoter is Manny Pacquiao. That's the other thing, right? So he's like, I want to battle Tank. I want to fight Tank. I want to fight Tank. So I'm like, okay. In my thing, I was like, hey, let me see how you gonna fight. Right? I didn't watch the Tank fight. That was before I got into boxing, but I saw some highlights. Right? And I saw like when the fight happened when Tank broke his hand. Right? I saw the highlights when it happened, but I didn't watch the fight. I was not into fight like boxing right then, but I remember when that fight happened, right? Because the whole thing was like, oh, Tank won the last 6 rounds with a broken hand. That was the whole storyline on my timeline on Instagram, right? So I'm like, oh, let's see, I'm like, let me see this boy Paper Cruz. Let's see how good he is. All right, one thing I see, he's built like Mike Tyson, right? He has a Mike Tyson build. He's short. He's like his body's like a Mike Tyson, like with muscles, right?
Mm.
Then when I'm watching him, I'm like, okay, if his whole focus is fighting Tank, and when I'm watching this fight, he's getting knocked out when he fights Tank. If he fights Tank the way he fought this guy, he's getting knocked out. Right? I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be honest. We everyone in the chat, in my cafe chat, we all agreed. We like, if this People Cruz his whole thing, I was like, one, he doesn't throw a jab. I'm like, the crazy part, he's saying he wants to fight Tank. I'm like, bro, you fought somebody who has like Ryan Garcia, like type of thing where the old Ryan Garcia. I was emphasizing that the old Ryan Garcia, the one who doesn't keep his hands up with no defense. I was emphasizing that he's like, this guy he was fighting, his hands was down most of the time. He got caught like a couple times with some huge punches, and he didn't go down. Like literally, he has a chin. Like it didn't bother him. Like the punches that he ate. That's one thing I knew. I was like, hey man, this man can eat. He ate some punches. I'm like, one, I don't think your power is at Tank, because if Tank fought this guy was getting knocked out, right? I was like, two, if you don't throw a jab and I'm seeing you trying to knock this man out. You just throwing hard punches. You're not setting up your punches. You're trying to throw the one shot punch, hard punches, knockout punches, uppercuts, hooks, but you're throwing them with intentions to knock him out, and you're not getting that. When you fight people like Tank, you're getting knocked out if you don't set up your punches. I'm like, y'all know why? Then I was like, so I'm looking to fight. I'm like, so I'm giving him I'm telling the chat, I'm like, yo, I don't even think this man right now, as I'm watching him, can even fight, can even stand with Ryan Garcia. I'm like, I'm not talking the Ryan Garcia that fought Tank with the bad trainer. I'm not talking about that Ryan Garcia. I'm talking the Ryan Garcia who's with Errol Spence's trainer, Derrick James, right? I'm like, why am I saying that? Then I was like, because Ryan Garcia now, if you're watching Ryan Garcia, if you're following Ryan Garcia, like his story now after the Tank fight, he's not on Instagram showing that his crazy punches with no form. He's not showing like the speed paint, the challenges, the body challenges, whatever he used to do on social media just to get like engagement and show that he's criticized being a social boxer, like a social media boxer. not a real boxer, right? Because he was showing, the speed punching, the shadow boxing, but just speeding, right, with no direction. Just he was like, I can my speed show off his hand speed, right? But really doesn't help him in boxing, right? So I'm like, this is the problem. I'm like, now with his new trainer, who's Derrick James. This is before the fight. I'm like, one thing you notice is Derrick James is teaching, keep your hand up.
Right.
Keep your hand up. Throw the jab. Catch the other person jab. Shoot, catch and shoot, catch and shoot. Like, it's like he catches the punch that's coming. Like, if the jab is coming, catch it, shoot it, catch it. You throw your punch after you catch that punch that's coming in. It's like teaching him, yo, bro, you falling asleep.
I am.
So he's like,
struggling.
so he's like catching and shooting, right? So he's teaching. He was like, I was like, this Ryan Garcia will knock out people. I'm like, I'm not saying it will happen, but I feel like people cannot, if he's fighting this guy with no defense and his power is not hitting like he's supposed to, when he fights with Ryan Garcia, who's now defensive minded, of like, I gotta keep my hand up. I don't have to throw these crazy punches. I gotta, set up my punches too, right? You ain't gonna have a chance to win. So he won the fight, but he won by a split decision. That's where I was like, okay. So this is where I'm setting you up for what I was thinking now for the fight. When I had the split decision, I was like, oh, yeah, he's not a good fighter. He's an average fighter. He gotta learn how to throw the punches. I was like, I don't know if he needs a new trainer because he's getting trained by his dad. I was like, his dad is not teaching him right. If I'm his dad, I'm telling him, set up your punches, and we get from there. From setting up your punches, we get to the power. And the other thing I hated about him is like every time he thought he was winning, like when somebody hold him, he started bouncing up and down like a toddler, and he got his points got reducted for that because he was acting like a fool every time they were in the clinch. Because like this, you know how when you hold like a toddler and the toddler is hyperactive, like they're just bouncing up and down trying to get loose away from you. I'm like, bro, this nigga doesn't know how to act when he is in the clinch, right? I'm like, he's like, he was holding me too much. I'm like, bro, if his game plan was to hold you, that's his game plan. You gotta figure out how to get loose. Don't act like a baby and trying to being hyper, like, bouncing up and down, right, to the point that the ref had to deduct a point from you wanting you too many times to stop doing it, and you're still doing it, right?
Right.
So that's how, then one ref scored it for Cabrera, the other two scored it for Cruz. I was like, damn. I'm like, if this next fight is going, if the main event is gotta go to a judge, I don't think the judges are gonna be great, because I already had suspicions with the judge from the get go, because that's one of the judges was the one who gave when Ryan Garcia fought Tank, gave Tank a 10-9 round when he's supposed to be a 10-8 round. That's the same judges that robbed Lomachenko against Devin Haney. I'm like,
He tried to make things. He sees it a lot closer than it really is.
yes, I'm like, these judges are not looking. The judges are not like the judges that we need to have in this fight, right? I'm like, I don't like the judges so far, right? So I'm like, okay, the main event. I'm like, okay, so the main event, the whole stigma was the coin toss. Now, in boxing, people, there is an A side and a B side. What's the A side? The first name on the flyer. So in this fight, the A side was Spence. Spence was the A side. So
Spence got his ass whipped. Oh,
no, hold on before we get. So Spence is the A side, right? Crawford was the B side. What? So what's the advantage of being the A side? You know, you make the fight happen. The advantage is when it comes to a fight, you come out last. The B side comes out first. The A side comes out last, right?
yeah.
Like for example, like Floyd. Floyd was always the A side. Most of his fights, he was always the A side. So he came out last. He was the main attraction. But for the Crawford fight, Crawford didn't believe. Well, he didn't want to believe that he was the B side, but he technically in the contract he was the B side, right? So,
Ain't the B side no more.
so well for this one he didn't have all the belt. The other three belts was with Spence. He had one belt, so he had to be the B side.
Oh.
So, Spence was the kind of he was the unified champion, and Crawford was just one champion. So they were trying to get the Spence, and also Spence was the reason why this fight happened, because Spence was for like the whole year he told people I'm not fighting unless you give me Crawford, because he wanted the Crawford belt. The belt that Crawford had, he wanted that belt to make it right. So he said I'm not fighting. Just put me the phone, give me Crawford's phone number, and we can discuss it. There's no middleman involved. I'm gonna talk to Crawford and we're gonna figure it out. So they went on FaceTime. They talked about the numbers. They talked about how what. I guess when they agreed, Crawford also started like, oh nah, let's do a coin toss for the workout, right? So Spence was like, why do we have to do a coin toss? I'm the A side. I should go last. So Crawford was like, you know what? Then Crawford was like, nah, we want to do a coin toss. So Spence was like, you know what? Yeah, give them what they want. They have backed out of this fight like twice already. We can't do, afford them to back out again, right? So they agreed to the coin toss. So on Thursday, they did like the press conference. They did the coin toss. Crawford won the coin toss, right? Crawford won the coin toss. Then I think that same day he posted on Instagram, Who do you want to see bring me out for Saturday? Then like it was the post, right? Is like you know how you can post two pictures at once on, like you can slide to the next picture, right? On Instagram. So there was a picture, then there was a video on the next slide. The next slide was a video of him and Shakur Stevenson. When Shakur Stevenson was the one who asked him, he's like, so who's gonna bring you out for the fight? Right? So Crawford was like, I don't know. But I was thinking, bro, it'll be dope if I get like an Eminem to bring me out. And Shakur was like, he's like, because it would be dope because we have never had Eminem bring out a boxer before, right? And Shakur's like, that would be crazy. Two GOATs. It's like, and I've never had Eminem bring a boxer out before. You know, they were like talking about it. It's like, you're going for this big fight. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't think they reached out to Eminem, or Eminem, somebody sent the video, the post to Eminem. Eminem went on his Instagram and commented like, yo, that would be that's fucking awesome, or something like that. Like, that's fucking fire, and you're actually one of my favorite boxers right now. So I guess they exchanged information, and he's like, yeah, you can bring me out. So the whole night, people trying to figure out who's gonna bring us Crawford, and we didn't know what Spence was gonna do. So I was like, oh, so my thing was like, if someone was like, if we see Spence come out first, that means Eminem is bringing out Crawford. If we see Spence come out first, you know. So I'm like, okay. Then I saw the lighting. I was like, oh, Spence is coming out first because the A side is always the blue side. Wears blue tape on their gloves, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so I saw the blue lighting on the entrance. I was like, oh, Spence is coming out first. So I'm like, oh, what's Spence gonna bring out? I was like, the last time Spence came out with a drum line and some rapper, but he always, every time he comes at the theme is always about Texas, like Texas rappers, Texas people in Texas, right? I'm like, okay. So he brought out this rapper who's like, oh, first I'm from Texas, but we like the rapper who sang the song, we from Texas, something like that. Right, he's coming out. I'm like, okay. Now, for anyone who watched our previous video, I did say I had Spence, right? The previous video.
Boy, you was wrong.
Now, here where I'm saying that was before the press conference, before anything. I did say I'm 50-50. I said I was flip-flopping every time who I'm picking. At first I had Crawford, then I had Spence, I had Crawford. But at the end, before the fight, on that Friday, I agreed. I'm like, okay, I got Crawford winning. I even had like a round specifically for Crawford to win in. Right? I had a knockout round. I was like, oh, he's going to knock out Spence in the 8th round. Right? I was like, if the fight is close as everyone think, all of us think it's gonna be another knockout. If it's not in the 8th, it's gonna be a knockout in the 12th. So I had 2 bets. I put 2 bets in, and I had extra other bets in that I just put on in that fight. I had like 6 bets about that fight. I lost all bets.
Lost every bet, but
I lost every bet, but I'm let you know how I lost every bet. Right, I had one bet. One bet was for like $3, and I can get $1,500. Was a knockdown in the first round, and a knockdown in the 12th round. Right. Either fighter, somebody had to be knocked down in the first and the 12th. I didn't have a specific person to get knocked down. I had another fighter of another round of a knockdown for both fighters. That's my mistake. I put like a bet for both fighters get knocked down between any rounds between 1 and 6.
okay.
Right. Then I told you the 2 bets I had for Crawford. Right. Then because everyone was saying it's a 50-50 fight, so I put 1 bet for Spence. Just because the odds. I was like, hey, what if Spence actually touches Spence, he's gonna knock him down in the 9th round, because we all like people expected that type of fight, right? All right, and I'm like, okay, and another bet like that type of like the Spence type of bet, right? Like he's gonna knock down Charles Crawford in the 10th round like that, but not a knockout, but a knockdown. All right, so I'm like, okay, 6 bets like that. So I'm getting the fight, and I'm hearing, then I hear like I'm listening to what they're saying in the fight, saying that Spence has never fought somebody who fights the same like side as him. He's a left-hander, like he fights southpaw. He only fought 3 southpaws in all his career, and the last time he fought a southpaw was in 2013. So I'm like, damn, this man last fought a southpaw in 2013. So I was like, when did Crawford fight last fought a southpaw? Then like 2018, 2019-ish. I'm like, okay. Then I heard Crawford say, oh, I'm gonna be a southpaw. They asked him, which side are you fighting? Are you gonna switch hit a lot, or are you gonna, fight which side are you fighting? And he's like, oh yeah, my game plan is I'm gonna be a southpaw most of the fight. Alright? So I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's stupid. Why are you gonna tell Spence your game plan? Right? In my head I was like, that's stupid as hell.
That boy ain't ready, and y'all didn't know that.
No, but then I'm like, okay, I'm watching the fight. Like then the fight happens. I'm seeing Spence. Spence is using the jab, and I was like, I noticed. I was like, Spence is the shorter guy, and doesn't have a reach over. He has a shorter reach than Crawford. Then I'm like watching how Crawford is like using his jab. I'm like, technically speaking, that jab is powerful because he's a natural right-hander. He's not like a left-handed fighter, like that. His right hand is weak. He grew up as a right-handed fighter. The way he learned how to switch is he broke his hand in the 7th grade, like when he was 7, and he started fighting with his left hand, and that's what happened. Like he started training his hand in the 7th grade as a left-hander, and while his hand was broken on the right hand, and that's what happened. So he's like, oh yeah. So he's fighting, he's throwing, he's jabbing, and I noticed that he starts jabbing on every time El Spence jab up, he's throwing his jab on top of El Spence. I'm like, oh, he's catching him now, because El Spence, I don't know if it's me or something, but El Spence, because he was shorter, he lunges.
No, it's the reach.
Yeah,
He had a
like
point. What was it like 0.5 reach over him?
yeah. So he was lunging a little, and El Spence lunges when he's like throwing his punches.
Hmm.
So I'm
That's
like,
a lot, yo. That's a lot. You gotta reach that man, and then he picked it smart. His none of his punches did any damage. He must not like Earl Spence must not be a heavy hitter.
no.
Or
The funny part, El Spence, he's a heavy hitter, but I feel like the way, you know how, when let's say if somebody is literally like literally just you like literally stay waiting for you to throw your punch, and he's throwing on top of your punch, right? And you are lunging, you don't have that power. Somebody told me like you gotta sit down on your punches, and on most of that fight, El Spence was not sitting down on his punches because he didn't have the time to sit down on his punches. He had to, fight backwards, like fighting backwards. Most of the fight, he was fighting like a boxer, like moving. He was not using his best attribute as pressuring the fighter, because he could not. Because every time he did that, he was getting caught while lunging or coming in with his jab.
yeah, his reach was way higher, and then he was waiting for him to jab, and his jab, his hook, his uppercut, whatever he would throw out to counter, would reach Spence
Yeah,
before Spence touches him. So that way, it took all his power,
yeah,
most of his power, out of his punches anyway.
and
So that's why you can look at Crawford at the end of the fight, and he's barely sweaty. He's don't have no bruises, no nothing.
yeah.
And then you look at Spence, and
Then that plus
he's
you. Then so when I'm like, okay, I'm watching the fight. He like Spence. The first one I was like, okay, I give it to Spence. I'm like, the second round. Then Spence comes out in the second round. This is where I say Spence did a mistake. He tried to pressure too early, right? Got caught lacking, got down, right? Near the end of the second round. He got knocked down. Spence got up in the third round. He heard his coach saying, "You're standing in front." He's like, he caught you with a jab because you didn't expect that jab. You gotta stay on your defensive, and you gotta move away from. Don't stand in front of him. Move, right? And people say, "Oh, his coach got our coach, bro." If your fighter's not listening to what you're saying, what do you have to do? If
gotta get out of there.
If your fighter is telling, if I'm telling my fighter, you gotta, whenever you move around this man and you are not moving, you're still standing in front of this man while you're punching with this man, I can't do shit. I don't know how long I have to tell you. Like, it was to the point his coach is like demonstrating him. It's like, bro, move. I need you to move your feet. Right?
He was cooked, yo. He couldn't move his feet, bro.
So then then you see Spence, like now every time when Spence was coming in, he was getting caught with counters because Crawford was like, bro, I ain't gonna try to pressure this man. I'm gonna pressure him, but I'm not gonna try to do over crazy pressure. I'm just gonna pressure. He's gonna open up every time he throws. I'm throwing my stuff on top of his, and he's catching it. Bah bah bah. He was catching it. Like, it was to like a 60% connection, like completion, like on his power punches. That's unheard of. Like anything other than a jab, that's a power punch in boxing.
Another thing is Spence didn't really defend. Like he kept saying, he's a pressure fighter. He kept trying to apply pressure,
Yeah.
kept trying to attack.
Plus, other so
Gotta gotta defend. Bull was he was just chilling,
and
waiting. He's punching you between your
I don't know.
punches.
Somebody did bring it up, but I don't want to use that as an excuse that the fight because people are saying because Spence of his his accident, like the Ferrari accident when he flipped and he got like tapped with the. I don't want to bring that out as like something that took away from him,
I
but
mean, you can, but it still doesn't.
yeah, but I
You
was
didn't
yeah,
defend.
but another thing was Spence looked slower than Crawford.
He did look a lot slower. He did.
Right? So I'm like,
He,
okay. So I'm watching the fight. I'm like, we watching the fight. The seventh round comes. He falls to the ground. I think like two times. He got put down to the ground 2 times. I'm like, okay, Crawford, finish this man in the eighth round, and we calling a night. I win my 500, and we out. Right? I'm like, yeah, we out. So I'm like, okay, blah blah. We talking. I'm talking to people. Right, I'm talking to people. We like, oh yeah, if he wins, if this happens, we out after the 500. Like I'm getting the 500, and we chilling, right? Then after the fight, I'm like, okay. So I see how Crawford is like. I'm like watching the fight. I'm like, so after the fight, people are like, yeah, your Crawford didn't have any scratches, didn't have any pinches, and it looked easy for Crawford, right? We all ever
very easy.
So
Very,
now he wins the fight, TKO because the ref was like, yo, he's taking too many head punches in the ninth round.
no, that he had to come save him.
Yeah,
If not, it would have been real bad. He was just blocking everything with his face, and that's the problem. He got knocked down twice, right? Well, three times technically,
yeah.
but twice. Two of them weren't even counters.
No,
He hit them with a clean two piece.
yeah.
Now
That's
this is
why.
reach.
Yeah, I want to say the reach plus also I feel like people. Spence is normally a good disciplined boxer when it comes to defense. But if somebody's hitting, he's faster, like using a combination with fast hands, you can't do shit. And I know this. I kind of see this. I don't know if he does this on every fight, but everyone who does this like thing when they are every time when before somebody throws and they're already in a way of like they want to in a defensive way, they always get cut a lot because they really don't know what they're doing. Like and because I saw that
He
in the
bottom punches with his face. Yeah, he got cut.
because every time I saw that fight, right, he was like from round one, I saw that Spence was already in the defense of like he's ready. He's not like really. He's like every time Spence kind of faint, he's already in the like way he's like kind of using his hands like in the trying to get in the like to block right. So people like oh yeah, so we in the like I'm like okay, I asked the question right. This is what I asked in the chat on caffeine. I'm like, so we just saw Spence versus Crawford. This was supposed to be a 50-50 fight, but it was a one-sided ass whooping, right? I'm like, who do y'all think can fight Crawford? Right? That's what I asked. I asked the chat. I'm like, y'all gotta give me somebody. Somebody, they gave me names, right? And I was giving my opinion, right? I gave my names. Then I was like, okay. I was like, y'all want to know? I was like, y'all can tell me everything y'all want to say. They're like, Thurman. Somebody said, Kid Thurman. Somebody said, Virgil Ortiz. Somebody said another undefeated fighter with like a great knockout ratio. Stalionis. They said a lot of names, right? I'm like, I'll be honest with y'all. None of them can beat Crawford. I'm like, y'all want, someone was like, what you mean? I'm like, we just saw somebody who's a pressure fighter fight Crawford and get beat up. Right? I'm like, the names that y'all giving me, I understand they have names, but y'all didn't give me. There's only one name I was looking for, and yeah, people. I know you're gonna think I'm being biased, but I actually thought so ESPN actually thought of this too before I even said it, because ESPN, because they have a rematch clause in their contract, because LCA he wants to do a rematch, and I said I don't want to see a rematch because it's pointless. We don't need to see a rematch. It's gonna be worse than the second time, right? I was like, why we? Spence is like, we're gonna do the rematch in at 147, 154, the next weight class, super welterweight, because he said he can't make 147 no more. I'm like, we could have told you that you're not that good at, like, 147 is not your correct weight class, but we don't need to hear that, right? Right. So I'm like, he's like, oh, I hope we can, we can make it the next fight, the rematch at 147, 154. I'm like, I don't think that makes a difference. I feel like that makes it worse for you if he goes.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it makes a difference.
So I was like,
You gotta learn a lot of defense, regardless of weight classes,
no, I was like,
rematch clauses. You just gotta learn defense,
yeah.
bro. Because I don't think it's gonna change anything.
I was like, if y'all do a rematch, it's gonna be worse. He's gonna knock you out in like in second round.
Dude, two of those knockdowns are clear. They're not counters.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Then
Clear. He's faster than you and everything.
I was like, one of the knockdowns.
Come on.
I was like, first of all, one of the knockdowns in the 11 in the seventh round. If people notice that, I'm like, that man literally set up that knockdown. I'm like, people didn't notice that. I said it on in my cafe stream when they showed, like, when they were doing, like, sitting down for the 1 minute rest, right, between rounds. They showed us, like, when they were showing us the highlights. I was like, bro, Crawford smiled. Crawford was smiling while he was at the ropes. He let himself go to the ropes and let Crawford.
Exactly. Boom. The clean uppercut.
That uppercut. I'm like, people don't notice it. This man literally was like this. While he was coming, he let his tongue out. I'm like, that's a mark. He's like, oh yeah, I'm about to catch him. I'm like, that was a trap from the get-go. I was like, I saw that from a mile away because he literally set that up. That was a catch. So so ESPN, this is what ESPN did, right? I wanted to tell you what ESPN did, and I think everyone on ESPN, we all agree, right? We all agreed, and I want to say that we all agreed that there's only one name that makes sense, right? Wait. So ESPN, who should Crawford fight next, right? Spence on a rematch, right? I already explained that I don't want to see a rematch. There's no point. Team Zoo, he's at 140, 154. He's 23-0. He's like the one guy who's like a contender for the undisputed on that weight class. Jamel Charlo has one loss, but he's the undisputed champion on that one, on 154. But Jamel Charlo really right now can't accept any fight until October because he's fighting, and that fight gotta be in January or February next year because he's fighting in September against Canelo at 168. So he's moving up in 2 weight classes to fight Canelo for his belts. So Jamel Charlo is really not in commotion to fight nobody right now. Any new fighters except Canelo, right? And the last name that was on the list was Jerome Boots Ennis from Philly, right? So everyone's like, oh, so people are like, so some people said the rematch, and most of the people in that comment section were from Dallas who said that we want to see the rematch at 154. We all said no, we don't want to see the rematch. That's worse. People like Team Zoo, everyone in the comments, we all agree that Team Zoo is getting whooped. We said Jamel Charlo, we can't put Jamel Charlo. I was like, okay, The whole comment section be like, this is the name. I even said it before this graphic. I was like, there's only one name. And this is why I said this name, and I'm not being biased. I'm being serious because I'm watching Crawford. I'm like, there's only, I was like, because he has a 100% knockout ratio at welterweight. He has fought 8 times at welterweight since 2018. He has knocked out everybody. He has knocked out Sean Potter. He has knocked out Spence. Everybody he has fought at 147 he has knocked out, right? I was like, people, I want this. I was like, I know some of you. I did say in the chat, I'm from Philly. I was like, this is not being biased, but this is me looking at this fight and thinking, who has a puncher's chance to make it an interesting fight? I'm not saying for win the fight, but make it interesting to where we gotta think, oh, Crawford has to dig deep and show us everything in his toolbox.
How many fights has Boots had?
He has 31. He has 0 losses. He has 28 knockouts.
That's not bad. Actually, I would agree with you.
Yeah, I was like, that was not even about him having 31 fights. I was like, the main reason I want to see this fight, I'm like, this is why I want to see this. Because Crawford is fighting himself, but a younger version of himself. I'm like, I'm not saying that Crawford is, I'm like, he's fighting himself. This fight, him and Boots, is literally Crawford fighting Crawford. But he's a younger version of Crawford. I'm like, people's like, what you mean? I'm like, what was the main attribute that we talked about Crawford before the fight? We said he switched his stance. He fights orthodox, he fights southpaw. I'm like, guess what? Who's the next person who does that the other person who does that isn't in his weight class. Who actually does that, and I feel like who does it more comfortably than Crawford, but who does it mostly like Crawford. I was like, they said it. The one who's the best, but who's second, like 1A and 1B on switching stance is Boots and Crawford. I'm like, why did I say Boots? I'm like, because when Crawford switches stance, Boots is switching stance with him. If Crawford decides to fight southpaw, Boots is gonna fight him in southpaw. And guess what? Both of them have their powers. They have deadly power in both hands. So, plus they have this way of, I'm like, y'all saw how Crawford was picking apart Spence. Guess what he can do with I was like, one thing, Boots is not a pressure fighter. He's like Crawford. He will counter you. He will wait for you to do some bullshit and start hitting you. I'm like, we saw that when he fought against Villa. I was in that day. That man literally demolished Villa all 10 rounds of that fight. I'm like, y'all know why he did that? The crazy part was that he threw almost 49% of his power punches. He connected 49 times. And y'all know, I'm like, that man was not even trying to knock this man out. He was just, I'm like, I was like, if y'all watch my podcast, I was like, I said, there's one point of the fight, I thought that man's nose left his face. Vinique can attest that. I came and said it on this podcast. I said, there's one point of that fight, I felt like Villa's nose left his body. Because I'm like, I was like, Boots and Crawford are the only perfect fight for Crawford right now. Because he's technically fighting himself. Because y'all said he gotta make a clone. I'm like, y'all, we don't have to make a clone. We already have somebody who fights like him, who does the same things as him, who has the same attributes. And I'm like, this is gonna be a chess match. And I was like, this might be the only person that Crawford cannot knock out. Because they do the same things perfectly. They have a great jab. I like one thing that he does better than Crawford is he starts faster than Crawford. Like Boots is like throws his jab Crawford kind of starts slow, right, when he starts his fights. he's like Tank. He starts slow. When Boots doesn't start slow, he starts and he doesn't start fast, but he starts. He already up on points because one thing he does, he doesn't throw like all his punches at like in the first round like Spence was trying to do. Like he throws his jab. He'll beat you like the first round. He'll beat you with the jab and see you. Okay, this is what you're doing. He does that Crawford like he has that style of like with Crawford of like, all right, you're doing this. Okay, what if I do this? Let me see how am I gonna do that. If I jab, if I put triple jab, if I throw 3 jabs at the same time, how you gonna react? Okay, if I throw 2 jabs at the same time, how you gonna react? He does that. Or if I throw a jab on the body, jab on the head, how you gonna react? Right? He would throw like different punches to see you, like 3 different jabs to see how you gonna react with your jab, like with your defense, right? Then after that, then he starts picking you apart. Like, okay, I see you already. I saw how you gonna defend this way. So now I'm gonna do this and that. I'm like, that's Crawford. I'm like, we saw that. I was like, yeah, we need Boots versus Crawford. I literally said I went on anybody who I was like, please. After this fight, literally I said it. I was like, Boots versus Crawford is next. That's the only correct answer. We don't need no question. I'm like, anybody in 147 cannot fight Crawford because I say style. We all say style makes fights. I'm like this one. I'm like this one is a perfect. We thought Crawford. We all thought that Spence had the perfect style because he goes to the body, right? And I didn't know that reach was that big, right? The reach advantage was that big, right? I'm like, but now I want to see if what Crawford can do with somebody who has the same almost. I think what's Crawford's reach? Hold on, we about to do some. We want to see. You see, this is why we like the podcast. We get y'all, you know. We gotta give you the real. So Crawford,
I didn't know both of them niggas were so old. 35 and 33 for boxers.
yeah.
I remember what's his name was 30 when the executioner was 35. Y'all niggas was like, yo, he should stop boxing all that shit. 35 and 33.
So Crawford has a what? A 40,
It's
a 74 reach, right? 74 inches reach.
Yeah.
I think Boots has what? Bro, they have the same reach. This is gonna be bro. Y'all don't get this. Hold on. I want exactly. But y'all know what?
74 reach, 188 centimeters.
Yeah. So they have the same reach, right? I want to get y'all this perfect, the actual reach.
I think Boots is actually taller though.
How tall is Crawford? I didn't.
Boots is 5'10". Crawford is.
I think Boots is. I don't think he's really 5'10". That man looks 6 foot in person, bro.
It says Crawford is 5'8", and it says Spence is 5'10", which is weird. It didn't look like that.
Spence is not 5'10".
Yeah, it didn't look like that.
Spence is a little shorter than Crawford.
So if Crawford is 5'8", then Spence is like 5'7", 5'6".
All right.
Also, Mayweather had 50 fights, bro. 50-0. This man is 40-0, bro.
So
and I've never heard of him until this fight.
Bro,
boxers, they got to do something for casual people.
Because look, like I was saying, this Boots is 74 reach, right?
Yeah,
7 4 inches.
yeah.
What's spin? I want to see the pay per view. Do they have the fight? I don't know. Hold on. I do. I remember because I paid for the pay per view too. That's crazy. Because
That,
I watched that
that shit was interesting though.
because I want to see like the intro to their fights though. They didn't they can't show it on it because I want to see some. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Both of them are the same height. I feel like they're the same height and the same reach. So
You might have found the perfect matchup.
yeah, I might have found a perfect matchup, and I feel like that's it. And for anyone that now, that's what I want to say. Like boxing, and Boost did tweet out say that he wants the winner and he wants the straps right now. Well, he didn't tweet out. He X out. Yeah, like that. Elon Musk. Like that's one thing I want to talk. Why did you switch Twitter, bro? It's now called X. Like I woke up one day and I saw like that my Twitter symbol switched to X. I'm like, what the fuck is X? Like,
I don't know. I didn't know that it changed. It changed. When did he do that?
like earlier too.
I don't even have Twitter. That was earlier today.
Like earlier this week. Like way earlier this week.
That's interesting.
Like it went to like X.
Elon don't know what he doing with that shit, bro. I thought Elon did he knew what he was doing, but nah, he doing any fucking thing.
Like today I woke up, right? This is what I did. I woke up, right? And I'm like, I'm going through my, I'm going through my phone and I see like an X symbol. I'm like, what's this egg? At? I'm like, wait, I don't, you know, I'm like, I don't remember downloading this app with the X. I thought it was like Stack X. I thought Stack X kind of switched that logo up, right? I click on it. I'm like, it's Twitter. It's not called X. I'm like,
I'd have thought this shit was Xfinity. I was, I don't like what yo. I
so
don't even get Twitter to app.
so this is what Boots tweeted out. He's like, give me. This was before the fight. He was at the Gilly Festival. He's like, give me the winner, please. I need them straps ASAP. And the hashtag undisputed soon. And that's it. Then I guess after the fight, he said, I can't wait. Right? But yeah. But I think I found the perfect fight.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you did. It sounds good. It sounds like a good match. Boots been doing this thing. I haven't watched boxing and I don't know, so I can't be
But
like yo. But it looks good though. It looks good. It sounds good. It looks good.
yeah. But with that being said, that's it for today, guys. We
Oh
want.
wait, we got a couple things. We got a couple things. A couple serious things. One on the lighter note, music wise, a lot of good music that just dropped.
Yeah.
I still gotta get to the Post Malone album and a couple other albums, but that Travis album, that's that shit.
All right.
That's that shit. Now, with the lighter note out the way, rest in peace, Cheese. That
Yeah.
is
Gilly. Gilly's.
Gilly the Kid's son. Got gunned down in Philly, so rest in peace to him.
Yeah, that
And
was I
also,
didn't bring it up like two. It was like 2 weeks ago, but yeah, rest in peace to Cheese. That's why I brought up the Gilly Festival. They did like a tribute. They did a lot of thing. Gilly looked like he was, even though it was a festival for his birthday. I don't. He really. There's a
he looked like he ain't want to go.
yeah like
He ain't want to go.
But like even there's a part where McMill was singing, rapping Gilly's song, and Gilly was out of it until Mick kind of slapped him, and like, you know, he didn't slap him like intentionally. You know how someone is like rapping and Gilly was like kind of, he didn't know that Gilly was out of it. He was trying to like hype him up, and Gilly would kind of snapped out. He's like, oh yeah, like,
Yeah, it's he's down, but we praying for him.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah,
that was sad. That was real sad. That happened right before Dilly Fest too, like
yeah.
a couple of days before.
Like a
And bro,
whole like a week before, and
yeah,
they did the burial like a couple of days before the Gilly Fest. So yeah, like the week was kind of filled. With that being said, I want to say thank you guys for the support. We will see you guys in the next video. Peace. Drop a like and leave the comments. Deuces. Yeah, man.